All right. What is up? Thank you for joining tonight, Spirit Filled. Thank you for joining. Bombshell, thank you for joining. We're going to give it a little bit more time, and then we're going to jump in on the fact that everybody has faith. It doesn't matter who you are, you have faith. Hey, Jay Sims, how you doing? Hey, Sherry, how are you? Yeah, I was a minute late getting set up for the scope because of Isaiah's, and I forgot to set my my stuff up for it. I was just caught up in what he was saying. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. 9:30. Not. I mean, that's not going to be usually. Oh, come on, Sydney. The after party. Yep, yep. He did have a great scope. Yep, he's great, man. Well, man, he's great. Yeah, he's awesome. It's cool to that you the power of Periscope and the power of technology nowadays that you can do that you can critique and interact with someone else's sermon is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's a blessing that we can get the message out there and the gospel out there, and people can hear it, and but it also they can also hear falsehood. And so I think it's amazing that he was able to interact with that sermon. So this is, as Sydney said, my yes, yes. If we get a few more people to scope, we could. Yeah, we should. I was doing my doctorate. Yeah, yeah, Mike. Yeah, you were. How did that go? Was that well? Tristan, thanks for joining. Doctrines of Grace Nuggets. It's, it sounds like a McDonald's meal, man. You should pitch that. Hey, you should sell Doctrines of Grace Nuggets. Mike actually mentioned that. Mike mentioned that we should coordinate and just do back to back to back to back. $3.99 Doctrines of Grace Nuggets, right? Fries come with that. Fries and a drink. Fries and a drink come with that. All right. Well, we're just gonna dive in. If people usually trickle in, they leave, all that good stuff. But we're gonna dive in, and the topic tonight is the fact that everyone has faith. The matter and the focus of tonight's message, Periscope broadcast, is going to be, what is your faith placed in? That's the question, because no matter who you are, you could be the most hardened atheist, militant, and you have faith. It is a little bit, isn't it? It is. Yeah. My room is a little more well lit than Isaiah's was, though. So, you replayed my scope earlier? Or are you talking to someone else there, Sherry? So, anyway, um, so no matter who you are, you have faith. The matter is Mike, okay. The the question is, where is your faith placed? And so tonight we're just going to work with the Christian definition of faith, and that is, I'm going to pull that from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. God is the one. Thanks for joining. Um, yep. What is the object of our faith? Exactly. That's a great way to put it, Chuck. For Grace Online, thanks for joining. And so that's going to be the definition we're going to work with, especially the conviction of things not seen. The conviction of things not seen. That's going to be kind of where we're going to go with this, especially when we talk about anytime we interact with atheists, uh, Muslims, Mormons, we always have to point them to, where is your faith based? Where is it based? Um, where where are you placing your faith, your trust, your conviction? And so I hurt that young lady's feelings this morning with this text. I hurt a young lady's feelings? I wouldn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I hurt a young lady's feelings with this text? Uh-oh. I hope I'm not in trouble by Sydney. The scope with the book. The scope with the book. My scope with the book? Okay. Well, I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. So apparently, okay. Well, I apologize if I did. It wasn't intentional. I wouldn't intentionally hurt people's feelings. But anyway, rabbit trail. Oh yeah, I know. I got a little carried away. I apologize with that. I want to, yeah. Yeah, well, when I see what you're saying. Okay, okay. I know what you're talking about now. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I know, right? I need to be nice. I do. I'm very sarcastic, so I do need to be nice. Yeah, you don't have any idea. The title was a little dot dot dot. I'm assuming Mike's going to finish that at some point. And so we're going to work from that definition of faith that Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 gives us. And the problem is, oh, hey reformer, thanks for joining. Yes, the title of her scope was just a touch heretical. Yeah, no, exactly. You're right, Mike. It was. Hey Jess, thanks for joining. I didn't give her the fire and brimstone. I didn't give her fire and brimstone. Just when you're leading down a path of destruction, I don't want to let people stay there, And so, anytime you are talking with an atheist, and I'm going to focus on, dude. Anytime that you are, and I'm going to focus on atheism, just because, I can't get to everything. Are you a I'm a youth minister. I am going to be going to seminary hopefully soon. And so I do a lot of study. Where am I going to, I don't know yet. I'm thinking RTS. It does take faith to be an atheist. That's exactly what we're going to talk about, Sherry. It does. I did too. I gave her congratulations on the book too. Yep. No, Jay Sims, we've already talked about this. I'm not going to Bestminster. If I were to do RTS, I would do it online. Mike, man. All right. Bestminster. Wow. Yeah, I don't know about that. But anyway, and so when it comes to atheism, what they like to do is they will tell you that you are irrational, that you are illogical, that you have faith. And not only do you have faith, but you have blind faith, right? You put blinders on and you just believe God is real, even though there is no evidence, there is no there is no material, objective standard that we can base the existence of God on. Okay, yeah, I will for sure. I will for sure on the other campuses and stuff, Reformer. And so, but what oftentimes they haven't thought about is the fact that their worldview has to make assumptions as well. They have a lot of presuppositions, if we will, that they have to base their logic on. One of them is inductive reasoning. Now, if you're not sure what inductive reasoning is, well, that's true too. I agree with you there. Jay Sims. I totally do. And so inductive reasoning, induction, is basing the future on the past. Okay, so let me give you an example. There's a definition that would be longer and a little more tedious to explain, but let me give you a definition. You're driving down the road, okay, or an example. This is an example. You're driving down the road, and you see 999 red houses. Okay? In a row. Just in a row. They're all in a row. You would think the next house is going to be red because the previous 999 homes have been red. Sherry likes red, so if she rolled by 99 or 999 homes that were red, she would like that. And they're all red, the same color of red. You would think that it's a logical assumption, exactly. You would think the next one's going to be red, but you can't know. You can't know that that next one's red. But what atheists do is they live every single day with that assumption, with inductive reasoning, because they are going to assume that the uniformity of nature, which the uniformity of nature is the principle that the universe is going to hold and retain specific natural laws. Okay? So gravity, for instance. The atheist doesn't walk into their bedroom at night, lay down in bed, and strap themselves to the bed. They don't do that. They don't even, it doesn't even cross their mind that, hey, tomorrow I might wake up on the ceiling. They don't do that. They don't walk out in the middle of the road, right, where cars are flying at 70 miles an hour and say, oh, well, that car's not going to hit me, or that car's not going to hurt me if it hits me. Yeah, they do have faith in science, and that's another problem, because what the atheist will tell you is, I judge everything by the scientific method. Well, how do you know that the scientific method is actually true? Because you can't use the scientific method to prove the scientific method. So by what means, right? By what means have you tested the scientific method? There's another logical assumption that they make. That's another logical assumption. And as Christians, the reason the uniformity of nature exists is because Christ holds it up in his hands. The reason why the scientific method works is because Christ holds the world by his hands, and because he does not change. A classical apologist. I'm a presuppositionalist. All isn't represent. Can you repeat that, Chuck? Sorry. And so what atheists will do, and what many people do, we all make assumptions. We all have presuppositions. Van Til's a little deep for this shallow mind. I felt like Bonson was a little more accessible for me, but and what Bonson did was take Van Til's arguments and kind of made them so that you could really put them into practice. But anyway, that's another discussion. And so when we interact with an atheist, what they'll want to do is flip that on us and say we're living by blind faith. But what we need to point out, he is deep. Yes, he is very deep and very difficult to comprehend. At least for me, he's very difficult to comprehend for me. And so what we need to do is point to the atheist, point to the person we're talking to and say, look, you need to analyze your faith claims too. Now, they're not going to like that word. They're going to actually hate that word. They're going to want to choose a word like confidence. Okay, we can quibble over that, but we can still point them to Hebrews chapter 11, the conviction of things not seen. Confide. Yep, with faith. That's exactly it. Conviction of things not seen. They haven't seen tomorrow. They haven't seen into the future to know that tomorrow is going to be like today. They don't know that. They can't know that. And really, in their worldview, it could be anything. Gravity could move us sideways for all they know. And so we need to point them to their own presuppositions as well and say, you're living on faith as well. You're living on faith. And so when someone criticizes us for having faith, we need to be able to stand up and we need to be able to point out, you know what? You're living on faith as well. But you're not willing to call it that. But we can call it whatever you want. We could just call it conviction of things not seen. And we could both agree on that definition because you haven't seen tomorrow, right? You haven't seen macroevolution actually take place. A lot of assumptions being made on the other side of the argument that for some reason, lots of Christians don't want to point out. Either they don't know to point it out or they don't want to point it out. And so the question really boils down to, where is your faith? Where is that trust? Right? Where are you going to place that? Where are you going to place your trust? And my trust is in Jesus Christ. Ephesians chapter 2, 8 through 9. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not as a result of works, so that no one may boast. The Christian has blind faith without evidence. Contrary, yep, exactly. Well, and we have to point out Romans chapter 1, right? Romans chapter 1, starting in verse 14. They know God exists, okay? They know that God exists. All they need to do is look up at the stars, and they know God exists. We don't need to convince the atheist that God is real. They know God is real. It's proven by the way they live their life. By the very fact they don't strap themselves down in bed at night. Now, some of you watching this may be strapped down, but that's for a different reason. And so they don't strap themselves down at night because they live and they move as if they were a Christian. Yes, I do live in Houston. I do live in Houston, but I live in like Northwest Houston. So I haven't actually mapped out how far that or how long it would take me to get to the RTS in Houston. So I don't really want to be driving all the time. Lunch would be awesome. That would be awesome, Sherry. I'd love to do that. And so faith is a gift from God. That's what Paul writes to the Ephesians. Faith is a gift of God. And so what we need to do is call the other person, point out to the other person that you are living on faith. The problem is you can't substantiate that. The problem is your faith is absolutely, completely blind. My faith gives me a rational basis for reality. And my faith will save me from the sin that I know I have. And people will come on my broadcasts. People will write on my blog posts. People will, when I'm talking to them out, in the world, well, I'm not a sinner. You can't call me a sinner. You must have incredible hubris to call me a sinner. Even when I tell them, look, you're a sinner and I'm a sinner. In that regard, we're on the same boat. Right? We're on the same boat. And so we need to have enough faith and confidence in our Savior to step out and share this message, knowing it's a gift from God. See, it's not your job, it's not my job to save anybody. We can't do that. Not possible. We can't do that. What we can do is be a mouthpiece for God, be a tool that God uses, an instrument to bring people to faith, to bring people at the foot of the cross. And it's all about the gospel. The reason we do that, the reason we challenge, Always Reform, thanks for joining. The reason we challenge the presuppositions of the person that we're engaged with is because we want them to understand and know the God that can save them from eternal damnation. Because we love them and we care for them. And so we point them to the gospel. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, 1 through 4. Now I will remind you, brothers, of the gospel I preached to you, which you received, in which you stand. So the gospel that was preached to us, right? We received and we stand on that. That's where we stand, the gospel. Exactly. Apologetics should be to evangelize. It should be to illuminate to the person their need for Jesus. That I believe that. I believe that. Oh, yeah. I thank you. I appreciate that comment. And so we stand on the gospel. Verse 2. And by which you are being saved, if you hold fast to the word I preached to you, unless you have believed in vain. Now, he's not saying there's believers that lose their salvation. It's clear from other passages that Paul wrote. That's not what he's talking about. What he's talking about is those who never actually took the word. Those who looked like they were practicing it, but never actually stood on the foundation of the gospel. And then verse 3, for I delivered to you as of first importance. First importance. So when we're talking to someone, this should be the first importance. This should be why we do what we do. What I also received. So if I delivered to you what was of first importance, what I received, that Christ died for our sins in accordance with the scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day in accordance with the scriptures. That's the gospel. That's it. You're a sinner. I'm a sinner. We need Jesus. We desperately need Jesus. And that is why we do apologetics. That is why we take that step of faith and share with our friends the gospel. That's why we share with our neighbors the gospel. That's why we, when I go to the barbershop, when I get my hair cut, which I need to get a haircut, when I get my hair cut, I always make it a point to bring up the gospel. And it helps being in ministry because they say, oh, what do you do? It's a good lead-in. When I'm on the golf course, you got roughly 3.5 to 4 hours with someone. I'm bringing up the gospel with you, right? So we bring up the gospel because it's of first importance to us. Hey, Palace, thanks for joining. I'm just about to end, unfortunately, but thank you for joining. It is of first importance. That should be why we do what we do. That's why we share our faith. That's why we call and tell the atheist, look, you're living by faith as well. You're living by faith as well. But I have eternity. I have eternal life, and I want to share it with you. And so we point out presuppositions, we establish our presuppositions, and we just call people to faith. We call people to place their faith, to make the object of their faith, their trust, their conviction, Jesus Christ. And so I pray and I hope that this has been a blessing to you guys. I might be on here for another 30 minutes, but I'm going to start a new broadcast because I end up posting these on my blog. And if I post like an hour-long thing, people don't like to watch that. So I might start up another chat and we can chat about whatever you'd like. Or I might just go to bed. We'll see. We'll see about that. But thank you guys so much. Sherry, what you can do is if you want to contact me, you can email me at anotherchristianblog@gmail.com. Thanks for your thoughts. Yeah, Always. That's the gospel is at the center. The gospel is at the center of what I do. So you can email me, Sherry, another Christian blog, all smashed together at gmail.com, and I'll get your email there, and we can find a time to do lunch and whatever. I will for sure, for sure. You want me to remind you while I'm in bed? That's weird. I know that's not what you meant. That's weird. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. I hope this has edified you at least a little bit. I know it was not super deep. No, I was just joking, Sherry. I know what you were talking about. So I hope that this has been. No, no. All right. Well, anyway, I will see you guys later, and I might be back on for the after party. Who knows? We'll see what's going on. So, thank you guys. Yeah. Replay it, Palace. Replay it. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Have a blessed night, and we'll catch you later.